Don't give up, because it's going to be way harder than you think. And if you do start one with a business partner, if it's your spouse or your partner, there will be some tough talks. You know, I can't say everything's all sunshine and roses when you're married and running a business, right? So just stick with it, because if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. If you have a product or a service that you can offer, just stick with it. And don't be afraid of small growth, because in the end, you'll be able to make the big things happen with that.
What's going on, everybody? Kyle Powers here with Haven Real Estate Group at eXp Realty, here with another episode of Local Legends of the Flint Hills, where business meets community. I've got a very special guest here with me, Neil Wallenberg with Uncorked Inspiration. And Neil, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you sitting down with me today.
Yep.
Well, let's kind of get into it. So where did the inspiration for Uncorked Inspiration, where did it come from for what you guys are doing here?
Well, Kyle, honestly, first of all, appreciate you. Thank you for doing this. I think it's great for our businesses. The actual impetus for starting a business was mostly out of spite and coffee. No, I'm kidding. My wife, Andrea, and I, we do pretty well together as a couple. And so, you know, I always threw business ideas at her. And it was always, no, that's too much. And one night, it was our birthday. We both share a birthday. In fact, that was actually one of the requirements for us getting married. That way I didn't have to remember too much. But anyway, we get down to our birthday, and we decide, let's go out and do something fun. And at the time, the particular studio we're in was called Straight Up. And it was a paint and sip place. They really jumped on the boom of paint and sip right kind of when it started. And we had a lot of fun. And I was walking out the door with Andrea, and I said, you know what? I'm pretty sure I could do that. And she looked at me and she said, well, I could deal with that as a business. And so, as any good spouse will tell you, and any good spouse will do, when your partner gives you permission to do something like that, you run with it. You don't hesitate. You just say, okay, we're done. We got to do this. Yeah. So that's kind of where it all started. We did pop-ups for a while, for about a year. Took a little break from that because that was a lot of work. But the other thing we started doing as kind of a side hustle was selling painted rocks at craft fairs. And that sounds funny, but you know, it was a good moneymaker. Anyway, after about a year or so of that, Andrea got tired of carrying the bins of rocks, because I'm just the talent. She always reminds me of that. And so I made her do the hard work. But anyway, after we did that, we decided to start the paint and sip aspect up again. We still had all the materials and tools that we had. And so we started working with a shared business co-space called the Ironclad. And if you're familiar with them, Darren's great to work with. I know that he still has one location in Wamego at least, but really good guy. Anyway, so we started using that working space and just became really successful. And I saw an ad on Facebook that Straight Up was for sale. And so I talked to Andrea and I said, hey, you think I should call her and see what's up? And she goes, just ask her if she has any supplies that she can sell us for cheap. And I said, oh, okay. Well, me being me, I'm the type of person that when I go to the grocery store with a list, I end up taking a lot more home than that. And so when I called her, I kind of started out wanting to ask her that, but she was so nice. And she said, oh, gosh, I was hoping you guys would call us. We want to sell the business to you. And I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, that was kind of strange coming from our direct competition. But anyway, we looked over the profit and loss sheets, and Andrea actually agreed to go in with me as a full partner and purchase her business. So we changed the name to what we were known as, which was Uncorked Inspiration. And that was in 2019. Now, the one fun thing about that is we were really excited because the holiday season was there, and it was just, we were going gangbusters. And then 2020 hit and COVID. And I would just highly recommend that if you're going to start a business, don't do it in a pandemic. Anyway, that's how we started, but we managed to make it through Andre and I are both fully employed elsewhere, so our business also takes up another 8 hours at least of each day between everything we do. But anyway, that's kind of the story of Uncorked, and we're here, just over 5 years later. We love Manhattan, we love Aggieville, and it's just been a fun ride.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And so where, like, you kind of talked through the piece of the journey, but how far back does it go? You said you're the talent. So how long have you been, been painting and ceramics and everything else? How long have you been doing that?
Fun question, because I know everybody's going to be surprised at this because of how young I look. I've been painting for about 40 years. I started painting when I was in 6th grade. And, art was just one of those things that seemed to come naturally to me. And I wouldn't say talent is what it is necessary. I'd say a lot of practice. Probably one of my favorite sayings, and people will tell you this when they come to our paint and sips, that I say that talent is a pursued interest that you practice. And that is from my favorite painter, Bob Ross. So anyway, that's, I've been doing this for a little bit. And, not necessarily as a business, but just for my own personal satisfaction. I guess you could call it art therapy because, heck knows I'm a little screwed up, but I'm a little weird. But anyway, so that's kind of how long I've been doing it.
Yeah. So 40 years in the making then, huh?
Yep, 40 years in the making.
So Neil, Uncorked Inspiration has a variety of experiences and between the paint and sips, the private events, and everything else in between. Can you kind of walk us through what you guys are able to offer here?
Sure. So at Uncorked, we just love creativity in general. I would love to expand it into other things, but right now we've got ceramics that is on a walk-in basis. So anytime we're open, anyone can come in and pick out some ceramics and paint them. Our public events that we hold for our paint and sips are on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and those are pre-ticketed, and so you would need to register through our website. And speaking of our website, I just want to thank Kyle for pulling most of his questions off of the website because it looks like that looked like my writing. Anyway, but no, I appreciate it. At least one person went to the website. But yeah, through our website, you could purchase tickets for that. And we've also been doing some hand-built clay projects. So you're working with raw clay, and that's a lot of fun. And of course, we host private events as well. We've done everything from birthday parties to K-State sports teams gathering here for an end of the semester. We love having K-State students here. But other than that, yeah, we're hoping within the next year or so that we'll be starting to offer some other things as well. But I got to keep those under my hat because if I don't, my wife gets mad because I got too many big ideas.
That's the way it always is, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Too many ideas and not enough time.
Yep.
So you guys actually offer raw clay and are you throwing? Do you have potting wheels and stuff too?
Not
or
yet. No,
okay,
we
no.
just don't have the room.
Yeah, fair enough. I had to ask. I didn't know
No,
you
I
had it.
appreciate
So
that.
yeah,
It's messy.
Yes, it is very messy. So, and then I know you have the molds and everything there that you've kind of had there. So, kind of explain to us a little bit more about the ceramics that you guys have there as well, because I think that's one thing that I know me personally, I didn't realize until I came in here that I didn't realize that you guys had that opportunity. So, with the molds and things that you have, and I keep looking over here because it's over here, but kind of explain that process of what that is. Are you actually running them through the kiln? Are you kind of going that thing and talk through that, please?
Sure. So yeah, with our ceramics, we do offer some that are pre-purchased through various vendors that we have, but we also do our own slip casting on several of the pieces. We have a large Christmas tree, and that one's actually one of my favorites because it's vintage, kind of like me. The mold was created in 1964, so if that tells you anything, it actually is older than I am. And so I always think it's kind of cool because we have so many people that come in and say, they look at the tree and they're like, oh my gosh, I used to do these with my grandma out in so-and-so's garage, where she had a kiln and I was like, yeah, that's pretty much everybody's story, including mine. I actually was doing ceramics with my mom back when I was a little kid. But we slip cast some of these. We've got pictures and gnomes and stuff that we do here. And I kind of like that because it gives a little bit of flavor of Manhattan, keeping it local and stuff like that. Because, if I could slip cast everything, I would. But, oh my gosh, that would take so much time. Trying to think if there's anything else. Just come in with that and, you pay for your piece and then you paint it. And we walk you through those processes. It's pretty easy. We do fire everything here in-house. Believe me, I've had to do maintenance on the kiln, which is something totally new to me. But that's a lot of fun, and the kids love it when they see their piece starts out looking very chalky, and then after it's fired, it's really shiny and glassy and beautiful, and so the kids really get a kick out of that.
That's awesome. Awesome. And I know you guys offer kind of the in-home or the take-home kits and things that you have with that one. Can you kind of elaborate on what that looks like?
Sure, yeah, and that's another fun story. That was actually a pivot based on the fact that we had COVID. And I say pivot because that's such a corporate fun word to say. But we literally had to kind of change our business model in the middle of everything because, this is a social type of activity. And you just, you couldn't have 20 or 30 people in the same room during those times, and so we decided, let's put together kits and offer those for people to come get. And the painting kits are either usually ceramics or they're a painting on a canvas. The ceramics one, you get several colors with it that you can take home. You can purchase brushes with those because we just recommend not using old brushes just because sometimes they might have something that'll contaminate it. Or you could purchase a canvas and you get the canvas, brushes, and the paints that go with whichever one that you choose. We have, I think, probably about 360 paintings to choose from, so it kind of can be overwhelming. That's if you walk in. I should say on the website, I think there's more like 25 choices because we just kind of cut it off at that because it was a lot of work, but it was also a lot of fun, and it was a good way to meet people and still keep the business open during COVID.
One of the things that you guys offer is the open sessions, which is just to walk in, purchase what you want, whether it be canvas or ceramics or anything there. Kind of walk us through that. Obviously, it's pretty self-explanatory, but kind of walk us through that process and what that would be to get someone in here.
Sure. So with the open ceramic sessions, those are pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You walk in the door, you can choose. We've got like 2 shelves full of ceramics, and we rotate those throughout the year, so you're not always seeing the same things. I mean, we have some popular items that people come in and get all the time, but we try to rotate it and keep things fresh. So you walk in, you'd purchase the ceramics. The price is usually on the bottom, so you can just browse and look. And there's a studio fee that's associated with that for the adults, kiddos. It's different prices. It's minimal, but it covers the cost of the paint, the time in the studio, and then we run the kiln to fire it. And so we also glaze it with a clear glaze. So that's kind of an additional cost, and so we had to kind of find a way to change that for our business model. With the canvas paintings, it's just as simple. You walk in, you say, I want to do a 16 by 20 canvas, or I want to do 11 by 14 canvas. They're different prices, and we'll set you up on one of our tables with the easel, with all the paint brushes. You have access to a ton of paint, and you can paint whatever you want, or we do have some pre-drawn ideas as well as ideas that you can just look at, and then if you want to, you can kind of copy that. But I'm always a huge fan of the people that come in and they just do something really super creative, and I look at it and it's just like, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, and I guess here's one of my questions for you, assuming that you're the one out there kind of teaching and going that way. How do you get, I've seen some people that have come here and posted pictures and things on social media and being like creating this absolute masterpiece, right? As somebody that doesn't paint, how are you able to make, to kind of coach them through the process of creating something like, oh, that's actually really good? Like, what does that process look like, and how are you able to kind of keep teaching that side of that one through the creative process?
Sure, good question. I don't know. No, anyway, it just happens. So I don't know. Kyle, you could probably tell I'm a little bit extroverted. And I'm also one of those people that I have to key with people to kind of vibe with them, and just starts bringing out my humor and stuff like that. And so for me personally, in order to put people at ease and to ensure that they A, have a good time, and B, come out of the session with some kind of fun art project, I like to inject a lot of humor into things. I like to try to get people to relax and say, hey, you're here to socialize, you can drink, you can just have fun. And don't worry about the process, because that's really what you're here for. You're just here to enjoy that process and have fun with it. And what I've noticed happens is that people don't drink that much. They actually just kind of start getting into it. And I try to keep things as simple as possible. My wife teases me and says that I'm always trying to be Bob Ross. And I wish, because the guy was amazing, and he could he could do a painting in 30 minutes, and it's like, holy cow, how'd that happen? And I like the aspect of taking that to people so that other people can learn to do artwork. And what I think happens is they follow those techniques. And I don't just sit there and go, okay, first you're going to paint the sky blue, then you're going to paint this tree green. I'm really interactive. I walk around a lot. I'll help people if they need a little bit of help, just so they can see what the process is up close. And in painting, there are a lot of basic techniques that anybody can use. And I can teach those techniques within 20 to 30 minutes. And by the time I've taught the techniques, the picture just comes out of it. So in a sense, I was right when I said I don't know. But I think part of it too is just getting people to be set at ease, and so that they don't feel overwhelmed by what they're doing. Because I will admit, it is kind of scary confronting a blank canvas and not knowing what's going on. Yeah. But I'm down here to help people out, and I love doing it.
Yeah. You're meeting them where they are.
Exactly.
Yeah, meeting them where they are in their artistic journey, whether it be just beginning or long time at it. So Neil, you're down here in the middle of Aggieville, right? That's obviously was planned, quasi-planned that way, right? But with Manhattan in general, we have a very great community business support, I guess is what I'll put it as. So what kind of role does the community support play in what you guys are doing here down in Aggieville?
So that's one of those questions that actually comes up, and a lot of times it's through, basically what can you do for us in terms of charity, which is great. We love donating to charities, that kind of thing. But I think in terms of community support, I try to break it down into two different types. One is business community support. And what we like to do is, if there's a business that maybe has a similar interest or something that kind of coincides with what we do, we try to reach out and say, hey, do you want to partner with us? And one of those businesses was the candle shop. And I apologize in advance. It's on points, and they're great people, and the place smells amazing because, candles. Anyway, you can make candles there. And so we've had a couple of times where we've partnered with them to say, okay, hey, why don't you do this ceramic? Once it's glazed, take it down to the candle shop, and you'll get X% off, and you can pour a candle into it. Because we have some pretty cool things that we can do with that.
That's cool.
The other type of community support that I see is just the community at large, and we wouldn't be here without that. We love meeting people. We're pretty open. We support everything we can in the community in order to make it thrive and to be a positive impact on it. And then probably the third type, I said two, but the third type is business to charitable organizations. And we've worked with the animal shelter here in Manhattan to do pet type paintings where they, people can send their picture in, and we'll put that on a canvas, and then they can paint their dog or their cat or their hamster or snake. We haven't any snakes yet, but that would be cool. Those kind of things. There, right? Exactly. Hey, you want to bring your snake? I'm a little leery of spiders, but I'm workable. I can learn to love them. And then with organizations like Thrive, we love Thrive. And Jamie Morris Hardiman, she's a huge advocate for Thrive, as well as our LGBTQIA plus support. We are friendly to all the communities that are within that. So if you're queer like me, and I say queer because I'm just weird as hell, but if you're like that with me, you're welcome down here. We'd love to have you. And let's see, I was thinking there was one other. It was True Colors. We love True Colors, and we like what they're doing with the community, and we are fully supportive of that, 10 toes down.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I guess let's kind of change to this side of it, Ku, because you have so much experience with the community and stuff here. What has been one of your most memorable experiences here in the studio, or not? It could have been elsewhere, but one thing that you've been able to do that's like, wow, that was fantastic, or that was amazing. Where was that most memorable moment you guys have?
That's a great question. And one of the probably most memorable events was we had an event that was for the deaf community, and we had a sign language interpreter. She kind of got the group together because she was a friend of ours and she'd been coming to our events. And coming from a home where two of my sons have hearing loss, they both wear hearing aids, it's one of those things that's a little bit closer to my heart. And so to be able to paint and have somebody interpreting what I'm saying so that everybody could participate was huge. And we love doing that kind of thing. And so another one of my goals is I'm learning Spanish. I'd like to eventually have a class that I offer that's completely in Spanish. We'll see if I get there. I can read and I can hear and I understand, but whenever I try to speak Spanish, I freeze up. But anyway, so that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of community interaction.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think probably the coolest part from all of this, right? Not just that one event, but I think just being able to see what people are able to create and probably too what they didn't think they could create.
Right.
You know, I think that's probably, I would imagine, is one of the best things that you're able to do. Yeah, yeah. So Neil, with what you guys have here, what has been, and we're kind of coming to the end of the video here, but what has been some of the, I'm going to do two-part, right? What has been one of the most rewarding things? Obviously memorable, but rewarding for one. And then on the opposite side of that question, what has been one of the most challenging things you guys have had to overcome here?
Okay, so bad news, good news. Let's start with the challenge. I mean, COVID was obviously a big challenge for us, and I feel like we did a pretty good job of overcoming it. We're finally coming into an era where hopefully that's, at least partially in the past. I know it's still out there, but we love doing this. But probably, honestly, the biggest challenge sometimes is as a husband and wife team, we take this business home with us a lot. And I don't want to speak for Andrea, but I speak from what I observe. She puts in a ton of time on this. She's putting up our social media. She's doing all the things that are related to not really advertising, but just getting the word out. Because we don't do a lot of advertising. I've always been a big believer in word of mouth. Sure. And but we try to, keep our tabs on social media and stuff. And she's just been amazing putting up our events and stuff like that. So I just, A, want to give kudos to Andrea because she just rocks it. And B, that it is a challenge. And there have been times where it's just like, oh my God, why are we doing this? But in the end, it's always rewarding. And then the most rewarding aspect. I will say this, every painter that comes through here, I've had the pleasure to meet so many people and to interact with them, and every interaction I've always felt has been really good. It's one of those situations where I love meeting people and I love talking to people, and I get 2 hours to do it, and that's actually just right for me. And so that's pretty rewarding. I can since I stay at home and I work from home, it's one of those things that when I come down here and I have to turn on that outward, hey, Neil's got to go paint kind of thing, it just makes me happy to have that one-on-one with people. And I really do try to get to know people as I'm painting with them. And to see what they produce is pretty amazing because everybody comes in here. Some people are a little bit afraid, some people are a little bit confident, and everybody comes in and they're always like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how different my painting is than so-and-so's, and they sat right beside me. And I agree because they're putting part of themselves into that painting, and every person's an individual. So I love seeing that kind of thing. And I can say this with full transparency, I've never seen a bad painting. I know what it's like to be criticized, and so I never criticize, but I always find something good. And so that's very rewarding for me.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's all. And again, I think that's where it comes back to of meeting them where they're at.
Exactly.
I think that's an awesome part of this. So, before we kind of get towards the end of things here, I want to give you the opportunity of telling people, one, where you're located, the exact address. We know you're down here in Aggieville, but where you're located, what's your website, how do they book a session, what does all that look like for you?
Sure. So appreciate that opportunity. We are at 1223 1223 Morrow. As we like to tell people, we're just about probably 3 businesses down from Buffalo Wild Wings, and we're right next to Acme Local, another local business we love. And well, Blue Stem's on our other side, so I always get really good breakfast food there and good coffee, of course. Anyway, I just want to let everybody know I really appreciate you guys. All the guests that we've had come through Uncorked, I apologize that I can't always remember your names, but it's been joy for me to be able to do that. And I will say that in some ways, you have added so much to my life that's been positive. It's helped me through a lot of rough times. And so I really, really appreciate that. And I don't know, I don't want to get too emotional, but what else, was there anything else to that question?
Website and
the website, all the booking stuff. Okay, yeah. So www.uncorkedinspiration.com, and that's all one word. You can put in uncorkedinspiration.com and still get there. Booking is pretty simple, straightforward. Just go to either, if you want to book a private event, there's a tile that flips over, you can click that. It'll take you to how to book an event. And the other tile for public events takes you directly to our ticketing website. On our website, the easiest way to describe it is there's 6 tiles at the top. If you're on a phone, they're all kind of vertical. But anyway, you push them, they take you to a new page. And that's how you do that. Other than that, I don't think it's too hard.
Okay, awesome. So what's the future look like for you guys here?
Oh, good question. I'm hoping my future looks a lot more like the fishing I've been doing, just getting out on the lake and catching some bass. But honestly, I could see myself doing this into retirement. But who knows? We never know what's going to happen. I know that Andrea wants to travel as we get more free time, so that's another consideration. So, hiring more help, which we love because that helps support the community. But yeah, I think the future will hold hopefully more traveling for us, but I also have some other ideas for some creative stuff that we can do down here. So keep your eyes on our Facebook page. Just look up @Uncorked Inspiration and you'll find us. We'll also update the website as well with what we have. And I'm hoping to start doing some videos as soon as we can figure out which platform's going to stay here the longest. I was thinking about TikTok because I really like TikTok, but I think that's going away. So we'll keep you guys updated on that.
Yeah. I bet that'd be really fun to see kind of the before, during, and afters of everyone's paintings. That'd be really neat.
That is another goal, right? But I know you know how hard video editing is.
Yes, I do. Okay, well, and Neil, I'll tell you. So we get a lot of people watching these videos that are soon to be entrepreneurs or thinking about it or anything that way. So, what piece of advice would you give any new entrepreneur or getting ready to be an entrepreneur on this one? What piece of advice would you give them?
So I can only speak from my own experience.
Sure.
I'm not a business person per se. I never went and got an MBA or anything like that. My firm belief is try to stay out of debt. That's one way that we've done it. And start out small. If you're able to start out small. You look at different businesses, and you might see a show like Shark Tank where they've got millions of dollars invested. They're getting angel investors, and then they're trying to get the Shark Tank people involved so they can get even more money. And I know that that's required for some businesses, but for me, as a small business owner, we started out with a literal investment of $3,000, and we had saved that up. That bought our supplies, that bought the things we needed, business cards and stuff like that, and our website. And we literally started word of mouth and pushing stuff on social media to get people to come to the events that we were staging, and partnering with local businesses, doing those pop-ups. And don't be afraid if you're expanding slowly. Don't quit your day job either, because you never know. Like I said, global pandemic. We were so glad that we still worked full time, because even though we were like, oh my gosh, projecting to be able to quit our jobs if we wanted to, it was a scary time. And so it was one of those things where we were just very glad we didn't have any debt, and we were very glad that we were able to not necessarily supplement the business, but just keep the lights on, keep the doors open, keep the lease paid, that kind of thing, but still be able to reach out to the community. And I think that helped foster more community and more people knowing who we were through that time. But the biggest advice that I would have is stick with it. don't give up, because it's going to be way harder than you think. And if you do start one with a business partner, if it's your spouse or your partner, there will be some tough talks. You know, I can't say everything's all sunshine and roses when you're married and running a business, right? So just stick with it, because if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. If you have a product or a service that you can offer, just stick with it. And don't be afraid of small growth, because in the end, you'll be able to make the big things happen with that.
Yeah. No, I love that. Small growth is better than no growth, I guess, too. So,
yeah, sure.
No, I like that. So, well, before we kind of wrap it up here, is there anything else you'd like to add to the video?
No, I think we're good. And just thank you to you, Kyle. I appreciate this. And thank you to you guys. I'm glad you helping this guy out, because everything I've heard is good and everything I've read is good, at least so far. I haven't found his secret Twitter account.
Yeah, that's right. No, and I do. So thank you again, Neil, for jumping on here with me today. I really do appreciate it. Coming in here on your day when the studio is empty. So I appreciate that time with your time here today. And thank you guys for watching the video to this moment in time. And I promise you, come in and say hi to Neil, say hi to Andrea, come see what these guys have down here, because this is a really neat space. And you know, I came in here and said the same thing, where it's a really neat building. It's a really neat opportunity that they have right here in the middle of Aggieville to come in and to give you that creative outlet, right? And I think that's probably the best part of. I didn't realize that you did clay here either, so that's kind of a neat opportunity that didn't know about before I came in here today. So, but come on in, say hi to these guys, come on in and see what they've got here. And the paint and sip stuff, I've had a lot of friends that come down here, and again, those are the ones where I look at them, I'm like, I didn't know you were that good of a painter, but somehow you've got it, you pulled it out of them. So. I love it. I love that. So, and as of now, though, I thank you guys so much for watching this video. And if you're still here with us, I do appreciate it. If you do like this kind of content, go and hit that subscribe button. Go and hit that little bell so you get notified of any future videos. And please, if you have somebody who's just remotely interested, or just thinking about it, or just wanting to come in and see what it is, share this video with them and show them who Neil is, and kind of give them an idea of what the space is and what this can be.
Don't scare them off.
Yeah, fair enough. But do share the video with them, and then, or just send them down here and say hi. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us here. I really do appreciate it. Neil, thank you so much for joining me here today. And again, thank you guys, and we'll see you next week for the next episode of Local Legends of the Flint Hills. We'll talk to you later.